I came out of there totally ashamed of who I am, of what I am. In the late 60s, I went back to the culture on my own. I let my hair grow. I started speaking my language. And in one of those times, I fasted. I did the vision quest for 5 years. In one of those years, it was a beautiful night. Stars were out, and it was calm. It's just beautiful. And it was around midnight, and I got up and I prayed. And I sat down and sat there for a while, and then all of a sudden I had these like a flashbacks of Sand Creek, Wounded Knee. And every policy, every law that was imposed on us by the government and the churches hit me one at a time, and how it affected my life. And as I sat there, I got angrier and angrier until it turned to hatred. And I looked at the whole situation, the whole picture, and there was nothing I could do. It's too much. The only thing I could do, to me, was when I come off that hill, I'm going to grab a gun and I'm going to start shooting. And go that way. Maybe then my grandfathers will honor me if I go that route. I got up and I came around and I faced the east direction. And it was beautiful. I mean, it was dawn, light, enough light to see the rolling hills out there. And right above that blue light in that darkness was the sliver of the moon and the morning star. And I wanted to live. I want to live. I want to be happy. I feel I deserve that. But the only way that I was going to do that was if I forgive. And I cried that morning because I had to forgive. Since then, every day I work on that commitment. Now, I don't know how many people felt it, but every one of us, if you're a Lakota, you have to deal with that at some point in your life. And you have to address that. You have to make a decision. If you don't, you're going to die on the road someplace. Either from being too drunk, or you might take a gun to your head if you don't handle those situations. So this isn't history. I mean, it's still with us. What has happened in the past will never leave us. Next 100, 200 years, it'll be with us. And we have to deal with that every day.
A long time ago, before the coming of the Lightskins, we Native people, we lived on this earth that the Creator made for us. And He had this earth run according to a set of principle, laws, and values. So we learned from the elders that there's a world we could see and there was a world we could not see. In each tribe, wherever they lived on the earth, these were the things that they were taught. This was the source of our native culture originally. And so this is the way our villages looked like. We had a language, we had values, we had cultures, ceremonies, spirituality. And we taught the young boys how to become men. And the young girls, we taught them how to become women. And then, of course, the women, we taught them how to become elders And of course, the males, we taught them how to become elders. And then the elders, they had a job. And that was who we went to because they were the most knowledgeable about the teachings, about the spirituality, about the ceremonies. And so their job was to be available to us to make sure that we did things in the right way and in a natural order. During these days, we didn't have problems like we have today. We didn't have domestic violence. We didn't have teen suicides. We didn't have the rapes. We didn't have the abuses. Because we were taught how to live in harmony. But then when the boarding school came along, and what that boarding school was designed to do was to take the children away from our communities, and it removed the children from the spirituality, the ceremonies, and language. It removed us from teaching the children. And so what happened then is the knowledge started to disappear. The children were no longer learning the knowledge of what we taught them. And so what happened to us then is, this thing that happened to us is something that we now are able to call historical trauma. What is historical trauma? Is a combination of immense losses and traumatic events that are perpetrated upon an entire culture. For us, the design of the boarding school system was to remove culture, remove the language, the land, the people, the way of life, the religion, and to destroy the family structure. And so these little children that went to the boarding school, they no longer learned the spirituality, the ceremonies, and the culture, and the values. But what they did learn when they were at these boarding schools is they were beat, and so they learned to be violent to each other. They learned to hurt each other. They took away the language. There were no teachings. And so the sexual abuse that went on in these schools, soap in the mouth when they spoke the language, no ceremonies. So when these young children grew up and they came back home, then what did they bring with them? This is where we saw the first appearance of alcoholism, the first appearance of the violence. And so we started hurting each other, and the sexual abuse started to appear in our communities. As a result, the boarding schools, the mission schools, and the residential schools. Then what did they do when they came home? Is that when they got married and they started to parent, they had a tendency to parent the same way that they were parented in the boarding schools. This is being passed down generation to generation. And that's what this whole thing is about, is how do we break this cycle? How do we stop this cycle of the intergenerational trauma that we are handing down from generation to generation?
I started working in the community and realized there's a lot of Indian kids, because my analysis is there are a lot of Indian kids in the social welfare system in foster care because of broken families, because of the legacy, the historical legacy of boarding schools, because you had, in some instances, 4 or 5 generations of Indian people who were institutionalized and as a result didn't know how to parent. And so you had this intergenerational trauma, this transmission of woundedness and oppression, this vestige of cultural genocide that occurred in this country, and it was passed on from generation to generation.